Welcome to the Black Girl Flow podcast, a space dedicated to creating conversation that pushes us to be in alignment and at peace with ourselves and the world around us.
We are about cultivating joy, growth, and success in our life, love, and identity. So join us as we find our flow.
We are your hosts, Liv
and Lex,
two 20-something-year-old Black girls working every day to be in flow.
And we want you along this journey with us.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Black Girl Flow podcast. It's your girl Liv and
Lex.
And we're so happy to be back with you guys.
Always.
Every week that goes by that we don't get to chat with you guys.
Yeah.
It's just like breaking my heart.
I want the girlies to have a nickname. So girlies, help us out.
Please.
Because y'all have really been with us for so long. Like, come on. We gotta elevate. We gotta DTR. We need a name for the tribe.
Yeah, it has come
like,
to.
The Sister Friends kind of gets at what I want, but Sister Friends also gives me like auntie energy, and I already don't need any more things against my auntie energy case.
You know, and I personally hate when people come online and they're like, hey, besties, because no, I actually don't know you from a can of paint. Like, I actually don't. So the fact that she would just like include me into your bestie category makes me not trust you.
Yeah.
I trust the people that show up and listen to this podcast because we on the same wavelength and we on the same vibration.
Correct.
So I just feel like, where's the group chat? Like, we need to have a space at this point.
So I'm going to be meditating on that, and I hope I get it either in the DMs from one of you all or like through a dream.
Yeah.
But I want this for us, y'all.
It's going to happen 2024.
The girlies will be named.
The girlies will be named. How are we feeling? It's almost the end of the year. Holiday season got us feeling full and happy.
Oh my gosh. Talk to me in a few days when this house is decked, baby girl.
We are theming Lexi's Christmas activities as the 12 days of Christmas with Lexi.
The 12 days of Lexi.
The 12 days of Lexi.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
Lord. Yes. As you can see, we're having a blast.
It's going to be great. I'm going to DC for a comedy show. But when I tell you, like 3 things I love: the holidays.
Yes.
And it's really not even Christmas. Like, it is truly the holidays. DC.
Okay.
And my mans.
Shout out to DMV.
I'm so freaking hyped for this trip. I'm like so excited. Got all the DC markets pinned. We're going to have all the little holiday cheer, getting to do all my favorite things. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good one. Like, the fact that I already have it all planned. I know what I'm going to decorate the house in and everything. So I have a lot of good things that I'm looking forward to.
Are we going to be playing go-go music
No.
after you come back from DC?
Holiday go-go music? Well, actually, let me never say never, because highly liable.
I feel like I need to educate you on all the Real Housewives of Potomac so that if you do just happen to be near one, you get a picture with them, or you FaceTime me or something. Because I feel like you're the type of person to be like, oh yeah, I was next to that person on the plane and I didn't even know it.
I actually ran into, I told you, the Summer House characters in Durham last year in the holidays, and I literally froze. I was like, Lindsay and Carl. The woman was too stunned to speak.
Seeing people in real life is kind of a
IRL
experience.
And we both have had experiences with reality TV where we've been like 2 to 3 degrees separated from somebody who's been on. So it does feel a little bit weird. But either way, I'm looking forward to this season. And I also went on a really nice walk the other day and the leaves were literally falling. And I just kind of had this moment of like, oh yeah, like...
oh yeah, they aren't gonna be here forever.
Not just that, but just life feels so complicated sometimes, and sometimes you just like need to step outside and like go on a walk and turn your brain off.
Yeah, a walk really does cure 90% of any anxious activity in my brain.
Agreed.
Would 100% recommend. I've actually, for my pulse check, I've been doing a bit more running lately, and I have actually felt so good afterwards because of the Nike Run Club. And this isn't even sponsored, but I have been learning that I just appreciate guided things because I get so like distracted. In the clouds, distracted. And so when I have somebody like coming in and talking to me, it really does help the run. And so I've been in that, and it's just been helping me push myself a bit more. One thing that we've been chatting a bit more about are habits and creating habits for the new year and everything like that, or for whatever.
For life,
literally. Yeah. Like
for Monday through Friday.
Exactly.
Like help, please.
Exactly. And one of the main principles of starting a habit is identifying with the title of what you're trying to do. So for me, I've always had a weird relationship with running because I was forced to do track in high school and middle school, and I hated every second of it. I would tell my dad that I'm quitting every single year. But now identifying as a runner feels so out of body, and yeah, just like, wait, what, girl?
You're having fun with it.
I'm having fun with it, and I'm returning to like very childlike ways of interacting with hobbies.
Love that.
I have also started to look back into Sims. We can talk about that a different time. But
yes. One thing, if y'all are an OG listener, you know, Liv is a gamer.
I am a gamer. That feels like another weird thing to be like, wait, am I?
No, you're a Sims. You're a Sims kid.
Lover.
You're a Sims kid.
I'm a Sims kid.
Yeah, and once a Sims kid,
always
a Sims kid. It's just true. It's just something. It's the way of life. Correct.
And so since we're all going to be bundled up in the house, I really encourage everyone to figure out what hobbies that they want to do, because just make like a fun list. Agreed. What were the things that you like doing as a kid? What are the things that you want to do now? Not for the aesthetic, but for what your heart is calling you to do. So
totally, especially since some of us might have like a couple of days like away from work and more downtime than we're used to. Like it's very easy to get caught up just in like the TikTok or Instagram like wormhole to try and disassociate from whatever friends, family, the world. Yeah. So might as well, like you said, use that to maybe come back to a place of something that you really appreciate and love. So we love that for you. You are not the first girly that has loved the Nike Run Club. So I actually hate being told what to do or cheered on. So I love this for you because I know that you feel the same way I feel being left alone.
That, you know what I mean? So funny.
Yeah. So it's fitting. I'm glad you found that.
I literally cannot explain the yin to my yang. Like what I'm like yuck at, you're like yum. And what I'm at yum at, you're like absolutely not.
And we are 10 toes down about it.
That is insane.
Yeah.
On every single thing.
Anyway, this I think is a nice segue into our episode. I'm really excited to talk about it in terms of building community and like doing a quick check-in. Liv hosted a dope girls' night the other night with some of our friends in the area to really do like a vision and intention setting night. And it was the perfect timing, super chill in between like chaos of the holidays. And it was a time for us to just be in community and be really real and relax with each other. You know, nothing too serious where you have to like divulge all of your secrets to strangers, but an opportunity to reflect on what's been working for us this year and like what are we trying to release. Even had like a little fire pit to like burn away the things that weren't serving us anymore. So y'all, it was like so epic. It was so great. And something came out of that conversation that we thought would be really cool to touch on because it seemed like it was such a collective experience. So while we were all reflecting on our year, a theme kind of came about of this like work-life balance, but not in the ethic and like responsibilities, but how we show up in work. And I had this moment where as everyone was talking, I literally thought, nobody knows how dope their colleagues are. Like all of these Black women are in the workforce, insanely talented, and we're all up against the biggest barriers, the baddest attitudes, the worst managers, or just the most mid spaces, or sometimes like finding fine spaces for ourselves, but still having to mask who we are or the fullness of who we are in those. And it just was such a through line and such a darn shame. I was literally like, how I would hate to be a colleague with Liv and not know how dope Liv was, because you're just not getting all of it. And so this idea of not being able to show up whole who you are authentically, and this practice of like having to mask who you might be in certain spaces is something that we wanted to talk a little bit about, of like how to build community with other like-minded folks where you can be that. So, you know, how was that for you, Liv, in hearing that in the space and kind of how it shows up for you?
Yeah, it was a really special time for us to kind of come together and be vulnerable and talk about the challenges that we were having. For me, masking is a protection mechanism. Like, I'm protecting myself because I don't feel like my true nature may be fully appreciated, or sometimes I just don't even want to be perceived in a different way than I am presenting. And so I feel like my relationship to masking has been kind of debunked within the past couple of years, because one principle that I really live by is authenticity. And so I have talked about on the podcast, when I was in high school and middle school, not having a group of people that I could go to. And I spent a lot of time just being, I don't want to say a fly on the wall, but just kind of like a member of a group that was even stronger, like outside of me. So kind of just like, I'm here sometimes because y'all think I'm cool and funny, but like I'm not actually hanging out with y'all on the weekends. And I was very clear with the type of friendship and relationships that I wanted to harvest in my life, and I was willing to wait for them. And so since I feel like I was patient enough to wait, now I'm surrounded by people that I don't have to mask with. And that's been a transition even with moving to Durham and only knowing you and feeling really unhappy with the level of community that I had, and then just waiting for the right opportunity for everything to come together.
Just bopping in here because we are going to take a brief break before we continue the conversation. No, I think you bring up so many good points, and not only it's such a survival mechanism, but also it is really deeply rooted in so many other facets of our life, of just what happens, of where you're at, the type of community and phase of life that you're in, and that sometimes it does take a lot of intention and just time and patience to find that group of people. And I think the part of it for masking for me in the workplace, which I think we can all relate to, because that is typically the place where we have to kind of abide by the most social norms, and that standard is set by somebody else too. And to be 100% honest, I think 99% of the time it's the default of white culture too. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think when I hear or see people having to mask, I just think about how much untapped potential there is, mm-hmm. and how we're getting such mid content, mid products, mid opportunity. And as a result of that, and then on the flip side of it, which is kind of a little bit meta, is that then I'm the consumer of that mid content. And I'm like, not y'all barring me from the best of the best. Like, oh no. So then the same vein for you, I think I made it a really big point of then I wanted whatever I put my energy to not be a space where you had to mask, and that we were going to try and tap into all of that potential and work through the murkiness of it to try and get to an authentic place where you could be in community and have all of that exist at the same time, so that whatever came from it was already just better than the norm.
Right. And watering yourself down definitely feels like a sabotage to the soul, because you don't feel comfortable presenting yourself. At the same time, I am very particular with the people that get to experience my full and authentic nature. Yeah. And so I guess the $1 million question is, where are the spaces that make me feel the most full, and that I can truly and authentically show up and feel supported? I think a big part of this community is that a lot of us didn't have this kind of community, and that's why we created it. Totally. So that we could fully show up. And it's like, well, do we take that into our own hands and create this space, or are we just patient and just kind of like in our own lane with it and like in a solitude season? I don't feel like that's the sexiest thing to say, and it's definitely not a quick fix to finding an opportunity to like put down your mask, but it's the way that worked for me.
But I think there's something so beautiful and brave and courageous of you just even saying that, of just being in a place where people can say, I don't know if this is going to work for you, but this is what I did, and this is how it's playing out for me, and this is the impact that I'm seeing in my life and how I'm loving it. And even though it might not be the exact same for somebody, I think it gives us hope that by being committed to the process and continuing to ask those questions of, like you said, where are the spaces, if not in my work life, if not in my hobbies, like where is the space where I feel like I can do that? And then being more proximate to that, seeing what changes in your life, like what's the impact of that, because I'm convinced that that's really important to have that community, to have that grounding, because that makes you feel more connected. So I think you, like you said, maybe not the sexiest thing, but I think really impactful and powerful, and honestly probably something somebody needed to hear today, that it is feasible and it does have results.
Right. Now, on the other flip of the situation, I was talking to a friend yesterday about how she's been processing the healing that she's experiencing from being in abusive situations and relationships and familial. And a big part of her healing is knowing the right questions to even ask, because when you come from an abusive background, or you come from a place where people, you know, might have taken you for granted when you did actually show your authentic self, you leave just feeling like really confused, really raw. And when that dysfunction is all that you've seen, again, you don't even know where to start in terms of like asking yourself, what are the things that I would really want to bring into my life as far as a friendship, and what are the types of relationships that I would hope to have with my family, and what a healthy romantic relationship look like, where, because a lot of us are like masking ourselves in our most intimate relationships, and I see it the most with my guy friends, where they just aren't vulnerable. They don't have the space to be vulnerable and truly unmask and let their shoulders down and connect. And again, we're not presenting ourselves as the people that know the answers, and there's so many resources that does kind of walk through the things that you should consider. But even meditating on that has been something that I've been interested in unpacking.
Well, I think if anything, this conversation has shown us, and that's why I appreciated it so much with the girlies too, was that we don't think about it that much. Like, it's not something we have to think about how it's showing up. Once we do spend time meditating, reflecting, in therapy, talking to somebody else about it, we might be able to see that pattern of like, oh, I haven't ever been able to be safely myself or who I am, or I'm not quite sure, or I know exactly who I am and all these environments are stifling it. All of it, and what we always will promote is that sense of curiosity, because what we don't want to do is be a barrier to our flow, to be a barrier to our highest self, to our most aligned self. And that does take work to get there. So I just really love this as a tool, especially for people of color, Black folks who have to navigate a world in a particular way, to be able to use this to help us assess what the impact of having to either mask or unmask is. So I find it really helpful, and I think that I'm excited to deep dive into this even more.
Yeah. It's all about the introspective questions we always tell y'all.
I know, but we can still be cute while we do it.
Right. Sometimes it's ugly, but it's cute because we're all together thinking about it. It's like being in a classroom and feeling like you're failing the course, but then you find someone else that's also failing the course, and you're like,
and you realize it's
girl, we still here. We haven't dropped out yet. So what's good? You know what I mean? Like, that's what this community is all about.
You take the first half, I'll take the second half.
Literally.
No, I think that that's the best metaphor. We just one big class, sharing notes, open book. Like we gonna make it work.
With a really unpredictable professor called life that literally just drags us by. If I could describe 2023, and I told Lexi this, like, I feel like I was dragged by my belt loop with jeans on asphalt. Like,
y'all, the way I get this visual of Olivia just being like,
literally, like the jeans are just skimming off on the asphalt, on the cement. So
and she looks,
if you felt that way during 2023, I promise you, you're not alone. And we're going to continue growing and learning more about ourselves so we can better create the lives that we envision for ourselves in the future.
Yeah, so hopefully you all are thinking about your relationship to wearing a mask and thinking about the types of community that you want to be in that make you feel like your most authentic self. And we'll see y'all next week. And so with that, peace, love, blessings.
Bye, y'all. See you later.
Bye. All right, that wraps up our episode this week.
We'd really appreciate if y'all could rate us on Apple and Spotify, as it really helps grow our BGF tribe and support our podcast.
As always, the conversation continues on Instagram and TikTok, so connect with us there if you want to join in on all the keys.
With that said, we will see y'all next time.
Rest well, folks.